Good morning and welcome to Citizen Extra. I am Ann Kiguta. This morning we focus on the politics of Meru, Western Kenya and Nairobi. These are three regions that are proving to be a headache for President Uhuru Kenyatta 4 months to the general election. We're talking to leaders from these regions. ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi will be joining us on the show. Kakamega Senator Boni Halwale as well as Sirisia MP John Waluke are with us this morning to discuss developments there. Later in the program, we have Imenti Central MP Mithika Linturi and Meru County Senatorial aspirant Gigi Thuranira also joining us as we probe why the president cancelled his tour of the Meru region. And as we spotlight on Nairobi, Governor Evans Kidero will be joining us in studio later in the program. We will also be giving you a preamble on tomorrow's budget presentation by the Finance Minister, which is being read early this year owing to the August election. Well, we have a panel of experts who will be breaking down the numbers for us. And as always, we're going to take you live to where news is happening across the country. Our reporters are standing by. Sam Ogina is in Bungoma this morning with Governor Ken Lusaka. We'll be talking about politics very shortly. But first, let's start with a look at the day's diary. Well, in the news today, embattled Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho is expected to appear before the regional CID officers to record statements on allegations of forging his secondary school results. We'll be keeping you posted on this news as it happens. At the High Court in Nairobi, a groundbreaking ruling is expected on the now contentious application of the two-thirds gender rule in a case filed by civil society groups. Well, also in the news today, the National Lands Commission Chairman Mohammed Fazuri is appearing before a parliamentary committee in a petition seeking his removal from office. And for the first time, Kenya and Somalia relations are set to get a boost following the launch of direct flights between the two nations. This coming only a day after President Uhuru Kenyatta made a commitment to his Somalia counterpart, Mohamed Farmajo. While we're also looking at the business front, the state-anchored EPZ manufactured garment sales kick off this morning. Kenyans will be able to buy export quality clothes at affordable prices. The sale is on at the KICC in Nairobi. And all the way in the United Kingdom, Britain is in the process of exiting the European Union, and that has already kicked off. This follows the official notice by Prime Minister Theresa May under Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty. The letter will be delivered to the European Council President Donald Tusk, and we'll be examining what that means for Kenya as it does business with Britain and, of course, the EU a little later. Well, those are the stories that we're following for you this hour. We want to kick off our report right now by looking to Meru. And as I mentioned earlier, we're joined by Imenti Central MP Mithika Linturi, Meru County Senatorial aspirant Gigi Thuranira, and later in the program, Kimani Waishungwa, who is a Kikuyu Member of Parliament, will be joining us. So let me start with you, Mithika. Why did the president cancel his much anticipated trip to the Meru region, a region that traditionally supported him but now is raising eyebrows?
And before I think we start, it's only important for you to correct and give the right perspective of the constituency that I represent, because I do not represent Imenti Central. Imenti Central as its member of parliament, and if we proceed that way, then the member of parliament from that region may start eating me very
South. We beg your pardon, Imenti South.
Igembe South.
Igembe South, I beg your pardon.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I think there has been a lot of speculation from what I see in the social media, in the print and electronics, about the adjournment or the postponement of the president's tour of Meru. And I think anybody has his right to opinion or to opinion, and but the most important thing is to understand the kind of diary the president has and his mandate cutting across very many areas on departments in terms of execution of his duty as an end of state. So when the president decides that maybe due to unavoidable circumstances I'm not able to go to Western or to Meru, then it shouldn't really be such a big story, because Andare can be adjusted depending on priorities. But this is not to say that the Meru trip or tour was not a priority, and I think the truth of the matter is that the President will be touring Meru very soon, for maybe in a date to be communicated at the earliest opportune time, and all is well, so there shouldn't be any kind of worry or any fear. And this has not been necessitated by what I see people trying to create, that there is disharmony on the ground or which group is fighting who. That is not the correct, that is not the truth.
All right, Gigi, what is your own perspective of what's happening on the ground in Meru? Are you expecting a clean sweep for the President, or should I say particularly for Jubilee party aspirants?
Thank you, Anne, for having me on the show. I want to say that like there has been speculation and also action on the ground that everyone has seen. You know, Meru, we have traditionally supported President Uhuru Kenyatta from the day he assumed office, and he has been our friend, and he has done quite a lot in Meru. But while I support the Honorable Linturi about the President's diary and his possibility of other issues emerging, because those are true realities, I think there is a feeling on the ground that some ground has moved. The ground hasn't moved because people do not like President Uhuru Kenyatta. The ground has moved because there is a feeling on the ground that the common mwananchi has been blocked from accessing or airing his views directly to the President. People really love President Uhuru Kenyatta, but there is a fatigue. There is a frustration that is making people on the ground feel that the President is maybe being represented on the ground by forces that are not listening to the people. And unless the President really uses another alternative, because the masses still love President Uhuru Kenyatta. They like his development record and his narrative of, you know, what should be done. But you see, there is a difference between liking your narrative and being able to talk to you and air to you their feelings and their positions.
Who is standing in the way of the people getting their voices and their opinions heard correctly before the President? Does this have everything to do with Kiraitu Murungi?
Well, I am not here to cast aspersions on anybody's name or I mean anyone in particular, but I want to say there are people who purport to represent the President on the ground, and people who want to be seen that they are the ones in charge whenever the President or the Deputy President is coming over. And unfortunately, there is a big divide. There's an emerging gulf between those people and the people they are purporting to be leading. And you know the kind of voters that are emerging today, because you also alluded to the issue of the President not getting the number of votes that he got the last time. We must come to the fact that across the country, not just in Meru, there has emerged a new crop of voters. People who are independent-minded, people who are progressive-minded, people who are not necessarily giving loyalties based on traditional patterns. And unless the President, because he himself, he embodies change, and when he came into office, everybody knows he wanted to interact with everyone. He wanted to interact with the youth, with the performing artists, you know, something that is really relational. But there are forces that are bent on promoting or sustaining the status quo. Now, the people who want change, and they want this change with the President Uhuru Kenyatta, they are not being able to access him. They are not being able to talk to him. I think, and in my view, my humble view, that is the problem we are having in Meru. We are trying to plead with the people that maybe we shall get an opportunity to meet the head of state. And even, you know, people need to express
Right.
even what they need and what they feel.
Let me return, Mithika, to the conversation to the extent that there are concerns, even as you hear Gigi talking about, you know, a section of people feeling they cannot access the president. The same has been said in terms of development in the larger Meru region, where the traditional areas that supported the president feel they have been shunned over the last 4 years, have not received as much support as areas such as Igembe and Tharaka, which were seen to be, you know, a bit split in terms of their support for him. Do you feel that sort of assessment, that perhaps too much emphasis in this first term was laid on areas that were not 100% for the president, and that that's maybe coming round to bite him?
And you know, I first of all need, I think, to share my view about the assertions or the allegations by Mr. Gigi about people blocking the president. You know, this happens when people suffer from, or when people are paranoid, because I believe, you know, there are people, leaders out there that are carrying some goods at the back of their hands, that there is somebody who stops or who talks to the president or who prevents them from accessing the president, which is not true. Number two, I think, if I may inform my friend, the Intergovernmental Relations Act that we passed as a parliament has created structures for engagement between the head of state and the people, and that's why you find the president is represented on the ground by the chief. Then the assistant county commissioner, then this county commissioner, and the county commissioner. These are the agents of the president. So the president's presence on the ground is completely felt through a structure that is created through an act of parliament. These are the situations whereby people think, so this politician and the other is blocking anybody. I think it's not here nor there, because if you honestly spoke to those politicians, then they will also maybe be able to tell you that they equally share the same frustrations. I've had members of parliament complaining or saying the same. So I don't think they're also given any preference. So nobody really blocks anybody from accessing the state. In any case, it's a state officer who can directly engage with anybody. But let me go to the issue about development. I think Uhuru himself has really tried very much, and and his government, considering he's only been in office for the last 4 years. And when you look at what he's been doing for the first and second year, you know, the president and his deputy were very busy sorting out their case at the ICC. And in terms of constitution, in terms of real work, really they couldn't do much. But for the second 2 years, I think whatever they have been able to do can easily be seen. I think the last time you and him addressed Parliament, he spoke about his record as an end of state for the whole country. But to go back to Meru, I would specifically want to say that from what we saw last week, the president is doing his best to address the issue of development, and especially on road infrastructure in the other part of Meru, where people have had this perception of historical injustice in infrastructure and development. And I am very convinced the way things are going on, there is a lot of fairness in the way these projects are being distributed in the whole county, because to give a basic criteria is that every constituency in that particular county is getting a road.
Gigi, so is that your own assessment, because you're running for the Meru senatorial position? Do you believe areas like Imenti, Tigania, Chuka have basically had perhaps the lion's share of, you know, should have had the lion's share, if you like, of government support, because these are the traditional strongholds, but they have been neglected? Is there that perception?
I think, Anne, to respond to you, I would say that you see, leadership is not just about the president, but other elected leaders. And I wish to say that most of the people who are feeling marginalized in terms of development, they need to also there is the aspect of people not being informed about the role of, for example, members of parliament, because even if the national government were to come and do some, say, infrastructural development, there is the part for the members of parliament, and there is the part for the governor that is supposed to undertake. But you see, like for example, when people are given CDF and they do not upgrade roads, you know, general roads that do not fall under the category of the national government.
Right.
I mean, people will think, because the rural person doesn't know sometimes the role of the member of parliament, the role of the national government, and I don't think the president comes to get into issues that are supposed to be addressed by CDF. So some of the areas where roads are really bad and they have not been upgraded in...
He may be bearing a little flack for what other elected leaders should have been doing, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So, and I think that is why I'm still insisting that the president, even though my friend Honorable Linturi says there are structures that link the ground to the president, I think there is that human relation where people feel that they even want to air their concerns about the people representing them, because by failing to do their work, and they are seen to be in the same coalition with the president, people seem to see them in the same light. So I think the president has really tried, but people are not differentiating between maybe what the president needs to do and what members of parliament and the governor himself needs to do.
Do you think it is a stretch, Mithika, to imagine that the opposition has made significant inroads within Meru? We've seen the former Prime Minister tour that area on various occasions. Is there the possibility that Meru as a voting bloc one could be split, and that this may not be a home run for the president in the next 4 months?
Before I answer that one, Anne, let me inform my friend, because he talks of people not knowing exactly what to do. And I also want to, with all due respect and humility, say that you could also be acting ignorantly or feigning ignorance in this matter or in this respect, because CDF, for example, he has mentioned CDF not doing rules. The truth of the matter is, under Section 4 of the Constitution of Kenya, you realize that certain functions have been devolved. And from the last 2 years, there was a circular from Treasury to all members of parliament saying that since all county roads are supposed to be done by the county government, and that's where the money is going, then they should not touch on roads. And you know, roads is what is a really big problem in nearly everywhere in this country. And for that matter, CDF solely concentrates on matters of education, and education is secondary and primary, and then it's matters of security. Water, agriculture, roads is an devolved function, and that is what has the greatest impact on the people. And that is what, when something is done in that aspect, in that respect, people will say there's something that they are doing. So CDF is not able to do that. But to answer to the next question on whether Raila is making inroads or not, and whether the president's vote is at risk, let me say that it will be quite premature at the moment to say whether the numbers in Meru will be split or not. Because remember, last time I am saying that the people of Meru are yet to make a decision. And why I say that is because, you know, there are those promises that were made by the Jubilee administration to the people of Meru, and that is what are not being done, and that is what the government right now is doing its best to deliver.
All right.
As at now, they have done quite some great progress in the delivery of the roads that were promised, and when immediately that the contractors are on the ground and immediately the roads have started being done, then the perceptions will change. In any case, I also know...
Hold that thought, Mithika. Hold that thought, because I want to return to the question of Meru politics a little later, and we'll talk about that vote block in detail, as you're saying, and the infrastructure project. Mithika Linturi and Gigi Duranira are with me this morning, but we want to take a quick check at the other stories that we're following for you. We are, of course, live at the High Court in Nairobi, where a groundbreaking ruling is being delivered now on the consent